Hey everybody, this is Podin, and this is my second part in the Silent Hill Shattered Memories for the Nintendo Wii video review, or rather, first impressions. Alright, like I discussed in the last video, a lot of the fans of Silent Hill don't seem very encouraged by this, and I think that's a lot to do with not only the fact that to fanboys you can't change anything or remake it without it being blasphemy. And on top of that, Origins made people think that this just couldn't possibly be a good game. Because, let's face it, the same team that made Origins is making this. But I don't think that people are treating this correctly. Like I said, Origins showed promise. And I think with the amount of work that they're putting into this, and especially with how good of the ideas that they have for this, it could really turn out to be a good game. I mean, Origins didn't even try for anything original or unique. It didn't try to go over the top, and it didn't try for any innovation. And it just tried for a new chapter in the series. Sort of a prequel, really, and it was made for the PSP, so it doesn't even look like that it was necessarily trying to be a big, epic game. It looked like it was trying to be an experiment, because they knew they were going to take over for Team Silent eventually. And I think that you always have to run some kind of trial, even if it hurts the fans, to really know where you're going and potentially release something much better. And I'm sorry, but I have faith in Climax. I mean, Climax shows that they always have ideas running through their head, and they always try. And they really want to impress and please the fans. And eventually, even the people that start off small, especially the people that start off small, if they keep trying and keep caring, they're going to come off with something good. Origins did show heart, and that's the most important thing about gaming, and that's the only reason I was able to get through it, because it showed that they cared. It didn't look like they were just trying to cash in. And really, it did look like they were trying to see how good they could make a Silent Hill game and how close they can come to cloning it. And really, they didn't do that bad of a job, especially since they're a newer team and they're not really associated with the old one in any way. So I'm sorry, but I think that a lot of fans are taking Climax way too harshly, especially since everything that they have planned for Shattered Memories sounds great. Now, I will admit that the Peter Molyneux, or however his name is pronounced, syndrome may come into effect here. If you don't know who he is, he created the Fable series. And this syndrome is where you build up a game so immensely that it collapses under its own weight. It sounds so incredible that there's no way it can live up to itself, and it ultimately disappoints the fans and even the creator. Because Fable was a good game, but it was amped up to be so much more than it was, and even the expansion and the sequel, for that matter, didn't cover near what it originally planned to do. And so there is a chance that this game might go under the same scenario, and if it does, it does. But it shows that they're trying and they're on their way. I mean, the first attempt at an idea is rarely done well. So it shows even if Shattered Memories is unsuccessful, they have a chance of making something better in the future. I don't personally mind waiting this game out. I've heard that it's going to be released in fall, but if they have any reason to delay it up to 2, 3 years, even if they really think that it's important, I'll wait it out because I think that good quality really comes from time. And I'm sorry, but I would never want a game rushed if it meant that it wasn't going to be as good as it could be. Look at Super Smash Bros. Brawl. It took 7 years to make that game, or something crazy like that. Maybe only 5. But it turned out to be amazing. I mean, a lot of people don't like it as much as Melee, but it was still incredible. And it really showed how much time they put into it. Anyway, back on subject. Another complaint that I commonly hear from fans is the fact that it's not going to be on the 360 or the PlayStation 3, but rather the Wii, the PlayStation Portable, and the PlayStation 2. Why does anybody have a problem with this outside of the fact that it's not going to have exceptional graphics? Who really cares? I mean, the first 4 games in the series, and if you count Origins, 5, were all PlayStation 2, PlayStation Portable, or lower when you factor in the first one. So, if you loved all of those games, how can you possibly not want this one? I mean, the only one that's been on a new generation console is Homecoming, and that's the least popular, it seems, of all of them, including Origins. So I don't really get why they're thinking this. I mean, for one thing, it's easier to develop games for the Wii, and it's cheaper. So if it's going to cost them less, at least in that sense, by putting it on the Wii, it means that they're going to have more money to put into other aspects of it, as well as more time. I mean, would you really be willing to sacrifice ingenuity and general innovation and really good gameplay characteristics and little details for some better graphics? I know I wouldn't. Plus, the Wii is not amazing with graphics, but it's definitely not terrible. I mean, look at the port for Resident Evil 4. No, it's not the best graphics ever, but it's definitely not bad. And if this game has anywhere near the same graphic quality as Resident Evil 4 did, it's going to be phenomenal. I mean, I just don't want it turning out to look like a cartoon. If it's not completely up to date with graphic style for 360 and PS3 quality, that's fine, as long as it looks serious and real. I mean, PlayStation 2 graphics didn't stop the last games from being amazing, so why would this? On top of that, I look forward to being able to wield around my own flashlight and talk on my little iPhone and check it and everything. I mean, it's little charms like that that make the Wii so great. A lot of people don't realize that, but even though it is a small thing, the fact that you have any kind of virtual control whatsoever makes it all the more real. And that's one thing I think this game's got going for it as well. I would gladly sacrifice some graphic quality as long as they keep it serious if they can justify the Wii control, and I think that they'll do that. They already pretty much have. I think that people are just scared and they're a little bit pig-headed and close-minded to really realize that you don't have to be a next-generation console quality game to be amazing. I mean, all the best games that I can think of came out before these. I mean, yeah, the only one that I can think of that was actually amazing on the new generation consoles is Resident Evil 4 Wii Edition, because it had the absolute best gameplay quality I have ever experienced in a title. As far as gameplay is concerned, it is perfect. Yes, I said perfect. I believe that Resident Evil 4 Wii Edition is the absolute paramount of gameplay, and it perfectly masters the Wii motion control. But the thing is, it was still a great game on its own, even without those motion controls, and it came before the Wii, the PlayStation 3, or the 360. And when you look at my favorite games of all time, which I have not posted on this site yet, you'll see that every one of them is before all that. So, and most people's favorite games are before all this, so why does it matter so much? Advancement in graphics doesn't mean better gameplay. I don't even understand the connection people are getting. But what I was saying before is the fact that the game is not going to be rustic and bloody anymore. It's going to be a very icy theme, as the IGN review will express to you if you've read it. Rather than a bunch of blood smears everywhere and cages, it's going to be the snowflakes are going to pause mid-air. It's going to be all icy and misty. The walls and buildings and things and roads are going to frost over. There are going to be ice spikes coming up from the ground. It's supposed to be absolutely spectacular, and I believe that assumption. Even though I haven't seen video of it or really any still shots, I believe it's going to look great. And I don't know, like I said, I like the idea of the game changing based on your little tiny actions, because that makes it so much more real and scary. Because if they go far enough with it, it's going to make it feel like the game knows you. It's in your head, not just following a path. Because it's going to change every time you play that game, and it's always going to apply to your personality and really affect you in a way no other game has ever done. And I think that is the greatest aspect of this title. I think that if they do it right, it's going to be phenomenal. Nothing will convince me that this game does not at least have a good chance at being a good game. And that is what's going to guarantee that I'm going to keep my eyes on this and definitely give it a shot. In my next part, the final part to this Shattered Memories first impressions, I'm going to discuss what I think might make it a great game, and I'm going to say what I think, or at least I'm hoping they'll include. For now, this is Poden, signing off. See you next video.